Everybody, Charlie here. I just wanted to share a message with you real quick that I thought was awesome from Vanguard. They put out a little piece the other day that, again, as you can see right here, it says, do not rely on headlines for your guidance on when to invest. We're big believers in having a financial plan and sticking to it, even when things are really uncertain and scary like they are right now. The problem that we find is that when we abandon that plan during these tough times, it's hard to get back on track. It's hard to get back into the plan because now you're basically off the rails as far as once we abandoned the plan that we had discussed. And by all means, of course, I recommend that you do have a plan when you enter in markets like we are currently in, because that's the best way to thrive and survive in these markets. But Vanguard does a great job of showing you, in fact, I believe this is what the next couple years probably will look like. They definitely look like this in the next several months. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows how this disease, this pandemic is going to play out. We could revisit another a bad spell in the fall, and more people unfortunately could lose their lives over this. So it's very serious, very scary. But when it comes to the stock market, we've seen situations like this before. And again, not saying that about the pandemic and loss of life. It's tragic. We haven't been in a situation like this in our lifetimes. But when it comes to the stock markets and how we react as human beings, we've seen this before. So what I'm going to show you now, what Vanguard has illustrated excellently, is what it looked like from the bottom of 2000, the 2008 recession. At the bottom, basically March 9th, 2009, you see down here, the market at its lowest point was down 53%. Okay, so the next couple years, you all remember just like I do, the talk was, what kind of recovery are we going to have? Is it going to be a double dip recession? And Kevin, my business partner, Kevin Gormley, just did an excellent video on a V recovery versus a U recovery and a W recovery. It's kind of silly talking about all these letters, it feels like. But this is what people were talking about during this time frame. We're going to have a double dip recovery. And I'm telling you, I remember 2011 was also very scary. And you can probably see it. It was a down year. I think it was slightly even to slightly down for the S&P in 2011. But there were all kinds of events happening from 2009, which was the bottom, until 2011. And if you were in all cash or majority, or you abandoned your plan during that time, what are the chances, what were the chances of you getting back in and getting back on your plan at any time during this 2-year period? I'm here to tell you from experience, it is very difficult to enter back into this market. But you can see during that time, from the bottom of March 9, 2009 to January 9, 2011, it was up 111% cumulatively. That's during that time period total. So as difficult as it is, the news lines are not going to help you out. You talk about some scary news lines. They happened, news headlines, I should say, they happened all throughout this 2-year period. Um, and while the news headlines were scary and real, there's a real chance of all these things happening, the stock market continued to provide value. Now, it wasn't up all the time during this period. It was down, like I said, in 2011. But we just wanted to share that with you because there is no magic signal on when to get back in the market. And what we've found and what we've seen is when we abandon our plan in the middle of these difficult times, there's no formula to get back in, and there's no good time to get back in. It's even more scary because now you have this safe bond or cash sitting there, and it feels good and it's not stressful. We don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we can't afford to miss out on these types of returns because our financial plan will suffer. Our retirement plan will suffer. One of the last things I'll leave you with is that we're very fearful of all this near-term uncertainty. It's scary, I admit, especially when people are losing their lives. However, sometimes we fear the wrong things. One of the things that we probably ought to be more fearful of that we're not is inflation eating into our retirement income. if we don't keep up with inflation, and that's why we invest in the stock market in a smart, risk managed way, all we want to do is outpace inflation so that our lifestyle in retirement doesn't decline due to inflation, and it will if we don't invest smartly, and we don't run out of money in retirement. Those are the things that we're really, really concerned about. So that's much, much longer term. And unfortunately, these short term events, although they're very serious and tragic, they almost serve as a distraction to our long-term plan. So let's refocus on our long-term plans. Let's revisit what our goals are for the long term, and stick with the plan that we have. Thank you very much.